Balaram Jayanti ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.
She wants to one. She wants to keep one in the holder. She wants to keep the other one in the holder.
Shri Gaura Nitai ki Jai. Nitai ki Jai. Nitai ki Jai.
Namaste, sir. Jiva Jayo Jaya Gaura Chande Aarati Kosoba.
Jiva
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Saraswati Shishimad Abhay Chanaranaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvrajagacharya Astottara Sata Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Dinandi Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Gaudiya Vaishnavrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Pranji Gosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasa Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki Navanam ki Maipurdam ki Nandamayi ki Nandamayi ki Bhakti Devi ki Srimati Tulsi Devi ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Transcendental Book Distribution ki Srila Prabhupada ki Sambhaveta Bhaktivinoda ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Balaram Jayanti ki.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Pralada Lada Jayanti.
Pralada Lada Jayanti.
Hiranyakashipu Raksha.
Hiranyakashipu Raksha.
Premanande. All glories to Balaram and Nityananda.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody. My name is Krishnadas Das, and I'd like to welcome you to our Sunday. Wait a second. I'd like to welcome you for the celebration of Balaram's appearance day today. Hare Krishna. And maybe I'll start off by asking: is there anybody here coming for the first time to our temple here in Ottawa? Everybody's been here before. Oh, you're coming here for the Hare Krishna Prabhu. Welcome. Hi, welcome to our new guests and welcome back to all of you. So, today it's obviously a very special day, and we have extra special mercy because we have His Grace Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu here with us. Hare Krishna. Welcome. And Mother Purnamasi, and many other exalted Vaishnavas that are here. The Lakshmi morning as well, Hare Krishna. And there's a lot of actually very special occasions that we're celebrating here today. Not only is it Balaram's appearance day, but it's actually the 47th anniversary of the installation of Shri Shri Gaura Nitai. 48, 49, somebody's counting, that's for sure.
A little too fast.
And not only that, it's also the anniversary, marriage anniversary of Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu. And is it like anybody's birthday here today also? Okay. So it's really very auspicious. A lot of auspicious things happen on this momentous day, this great day. And so we hope to hear from Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu. He is one of the OGs, original devotees here at ISKCON Ottawa. He was here for day one, which is not the 49th, I guess the first year when the deities were installed. He was here for the installation of the deities. Can you imagine? Not long ago. Some of you weren't even born yet. Most of you. So we really were very excited, and we'd like to hear maybe something about our deities, some pastimes about them, hear a little bit about Balaram too, and whatever Prabhu would like to share with us. After class, we'll have some Kirtan. We'll conclude with a little bit of Kirtan. Not too late, because it's getting late already this evening. And then we'll have Prasadam. And hopefully you can all stay and join us for the duration. Hare Krishna. Let's give another warm of applause and Hari Bol.
Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramalitam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Upagadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddhapama Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Savitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopita Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchkalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vedacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before even Gaura Nitai arrived in Ottawa, two devotees went to India from our temple in 1975. The temple president at the time was Anshu Prabhu, He has since passed away, but he was really a very nice and wonderful devotee. And during his reign as temple president, he made a lot of devotees just because of his loving nature. And another devotee, Shashvata Prabhu, who's still a practicing Vaishnava in Ontario, he and Amshu were looking to get Gaura Nitai to come to Ottawa. And they had gone to Jaipur, and they had seen these deities in a Murtiwala in Jaipur. Yeah, yeah. It was either Jaipur or Vrindavan, I'm not sure. Yeah, anyway, all I know is that they saw them in a Murti Wala somewhere in India. Either could it be, as Lakshmi Moni was just saying, most likely Mayapur, because that's the only places that had.
No, I was saying most likely Vrindavan.
Oh, Vrindavan, right.
In Jaipur, mostly today,
Just marble, yeah. Anyway, they saw them and immediately fell in love with them, obviously. Gaura Nitai are extremely beautiful. And so they immediately put a down payment on them. And then some of you may know of a devotee named Vishnu Jan Swami. He was a very early disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he was part of the very early devotees doing the traveling road show, and he was going out on Harinam all the time. I mean, he just loved Harinam, and he just was angelic. Srila Prabhupada even said he came from Gandharvaloka, where the angels, the great singing angels, come from. And so he came in and saw the deities just after they had made the down payment and gotten a receipt. And he said, "Oh, I love those deities." And he said to the Murti Mala, "How much?" And he said, "Well, these Prabhus have already taken." And he's going, I'll pay them. I'll pay you 3 times what they paid." And he was like, "Sorry." He was an honest Murtiwala. And he just said, "No, can't do. They're already spoken for." And so luckily, we ended up having Gaura Nitai come back to Ottawa. So they really are very, very special. And Srila Prabhupada saw these deities in Toronto in 1976. When Srila Prabhupada came to Toronto in 1976, we shut down the temple for the weekend, basically, and everybody went to Toronto, including Gaura Nitai. And we put them in a car, and I remember carrying them off the altar, and I would have to manipulate them to the side of the altar, and then I would have them, and their backs would be facing me, and then I would get them to lean backwards on me with my hands below their bases. And they're probably close to 100 pounds each. They're very, very heavy. And then I would walk with them out to the car and put them in the car, and then we buckled them in with the seatbelt. And then we had fruit and sweets and things that we had with us that we offered. So we gave them their regular offerings all the way to Toronto. And we brought clothing with us because we knew that Srila Prabhupada was going to be there for a few days. So we brought change of clothes every day. We had them all set and ready for the deity greeting. And I remember there was a morning that I got to dress Gaura Nitai, and actually I think it might have been the first morning I was doing the Aarti to Gaura Nitai, and in those days the deity greeting Aarti, we had 3 pujaris in Toronto, 1 for each altar. And I was the pujari on the Gaura Nitai altar. And Srila Prabhupada walked into the room, and as he would came in from his morning walk and stood up by the altar, and then the conch shell blew, the Govindam prayers started, the doors opened, and Srila Prabhupada, he stood there. He just stood there looking, and looking, and looking, and looking, and looking. I mean, he stood there for a long time. It was probably about 30, 40 seconds, which is a fairly long time. You know, most of the time it's, you see the deities, offer obeisances, and go on to the next, but he stood there for a long time. And he was drinking in the nectar of the beauty of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. And it was really quite ecstatic. And just to be with Srila Prabhupada in Toronto was such an amazing thing, but to have him see Gaura Nitai, and he was very happy. He spoke with Amshu later that he was very happy that Gaura Nitai were in Ottawa. He had previously written to Jagadish a letter about how happy he was that a center was being opened in Ottawa, because he wanted us to cultivate the learned and the cultured class of men. I think he referred to the politicians. And so Srila Prabhupada was just very ecstatic with them. And then we drove them back the same way in a car and with the seatbelts on, and got them back here. Actually, Gaura Nitai these Gaura Nitai had quite a few traveling times. We traveled with them to New Vrindavan after Srila Prabhupada left. But we also traveled with them in Northern Ontario. There was we had a school bus at the time that Lakshminath Prabhu from Toronto, he had made it into a temple room, the whole inside of the school bus. And at one end we had a really nice altar, and Gaura Nitai were there. And we were at a little lake called Nelly Lake, just outside of, not Kirkland Lake, but anyway, it's near Timmins. It's not far from Timmins, Ontario. And we used that as our base for almost a month. And Gaura Nitai were there for about 2 weeks out of that month. And there were people that because we were inviting people to come to the bus, and probably not that many came. I think we got maybe 15 to 20 people over the whole 2 weeks, but who actually got blessed by coming on the bus and being able to see Gaura Nitai. So it was pretty ecstatic that Gaura Nitai traveled, you know, to the wilderness of Northern Ontario like that. They're so merciful. And then I just remember the night before, or the days before the Gaura Nitai were getting installed, there was a sewing marathon going on. I remember Varuni and Jagadi Kanda were sewing like crazy, and maybe Purnamasi, you were involved. Oh no, you weren't there you were still in Toronto at that time. That's right, I was a brahmachari. The good old days. Oh, I shouldn't have said that on our anniversary. But anyway, we were working so hard to get everything ready for Gaura Nitai. And it was just in the little house on Bester Street, which has been torn down now. It's just an apartment building. But it was a real labor of love. And I can remember one of the things that we knew that a lot of people would be coming to the temple that day. And we, in that tiny room, which was probably about half the size, like if you cut this room in half, that was the size of the temple room, or maybe even a little smaller, the size of the temple room. But we fit about, on that day, we fit about 50 people into that small little area. And they were still, even though we got 50 people in there were people out in the hallway and out in the street. And we had a fire yagya for the installation. And one of the things that we wanted to do was have the movie The Hare Krishna People that Yadabar had just produced. And it was in Toronto. There was a copy of it in Toronto. And they decided the day before that we want to get this copy of the Hare Krishna people. So somebody, it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they said, you gotta drive to Toronto and be back here tomorrow morning with that film. I was like, are you serious? Yep. So I got in the van and I drove all the way to Toronto, got there, I can remember by the time I left it was pretty late, got there around midnight, and you had to bang on the door to get the devotees to let me in, and I got to sleep for a little bit, and I got the movie, and then I drove back and got back around noon, and then the fire yoga was starting at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was so tired because I'd slept maybe 2 hours, and the rest of the week, in fact I may not have even slept at all if I remember correctly, and the rest of the week I maybe only slept about 2 hours each night for the last 2 or 3 nights. So I was so tired. I remember the fire yoga was going on for Gaura Nitai, and I was almost falling asleep into the fire. I was trying to read the Purusha Shukta prayers. And yeah. It was not. And I remember Jagadish was, doing. He almost had to catch me from falling into the fire. Anyway. Gaura Nitai have really blessed Ottawa. They've blessed all of us. And then there was a whole, thing that happened where Purnamasi and I got betrothed to each other. It was actually an arranged marriage, an ISKCON arranged marriage. It's one of the very few ISKCON arranged marriages that are still existing. There are a few, but not too many. And we're still hanging in there. We had our wedding fire sacrifice. At that time, in 1977, it was Balarama's appearance day in 1977. The temple was on Searville Road. Do you know where it goes out from where the Saint Laurent shopping center is, and it kind of goes on a slant outwards, yeah. And so we had our wedding, and it was a house, and then it had a 4-car garage that we had turned into a temple, and we had put down a ceramic floor. We had gold. We had colored them gold, of course, with gold, not gold leaf, but we had actually, I think we tried to use gold leaf on most of it, but couldn't afford gold leaf on all of it. But the wrought iron gates, and it was really nice, and we had a fire ceremony in there in front of Gaura Nitai for our wedding, and we used to have pictures of it, but that book got lost or stolen or something. Yeah, but so we don't have any wedding pictures, unfortunately. But our family members were there. They got to come and see Gaura Nitai, and a lot of people actually came because in those days, if somebody was getting married at the temple, whenever you went out on Sankirtan, you'd invite everybody to come. Hey, we're having a wedding this weekend. Everybody, you should come. And so it's like, okay, I'm invited to a wedding this weekend, and it's free food. So yeah, a lot of people came. A lot of people saw Gaura Nitai and got the opportunity to, be in their presence. Because even to be in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for a few seconds is such a benediction. And we have to understand that these two personalities that are standing right here are Gaura Nitai. They are those persons. These are not brass statues. If you see them as brass, they will always be brass. But if you see them as the Supreme Personality of Godhead standing right there before you, you will develop the vision whereby you will see Gaura Nitai standing in front of you and speaking with you. But it's up to you. Which way do you go? Am I stuck in the material realm of only seeing the brass? Or do I really want to see the spiritual vision? And when we're chanting Hare Krishna, That is one of the things that we are doing. We are Cheto Darpana Marjanam. We are cleansing our minds so that we develop that vision, so that we are able to see Gaura right in front of us. And so today, being Balaram's appearance day, also has significance for Gaura because Nitai, Nityananda, is known as Nityananda Ram. We were chanting it during the Kirtan. Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda Ram. And Nityananda Ram is because Lord Nityananda is none other than Lord Balaram. And Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. So in the mood, Lord Chaitanya came in the mood of Radharani, and Lord Balaram, as his brother, follows him wherever he goes, practically. It appears with him in many different incarnations. And so Lord Nityananda appears in Ekachakra. How many people here have been to Ekachakra? Oh, a few. Yeah, it's a beautiful spot, isn't it? It really just looks like a Vedic village, like right out of 5,000 years ago, or at least 500 years ago, and just with the cows. And I hear, unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, it's fortunate when a lot of people come. It's unfortunate that we have to build hotels and everything else to house them all, and it kind of ruins the mood, the little village mood. But it is nice that people are coming to see where Lord Nityananda was born. And Ekachakra is about a 3-4 hour drive from Mayapur, about that. Yeah. And very beautiful spot. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a whole chapter which is actually dedicated. It's the it's Adi Lila, the 5th chapter, and it's called The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. Vande Nanta Bhutaishvaryam Shri Nityanandam Ishvaram Yasyechaya Tatsvarupam Agyenapi Nirupyate. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Shri Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Eshat Shloke Kahila Krishna Chaitanya Mahima Pancha Shloke Kahi Nityananda Tattvasima. I have described the glory of Shri Krishna Chaitanya in 6 verses. Now, in 5 verses, I shall describe the glory of Lord Nityananda. Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tanhara Dvitiya Deha Shri Balaram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the fountainhead of all incarnations. Lord Balaram is his second body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Sri Krishna, the Absolute Personality of Godhead, is the primeval Lord, the original form of Godhead, and his first expansion is Balaram, Shri Balaram. The personality of Godhead can expand himself in innumerable forms. The forms that have unlimited potency are called Swangsa, and the forms that have limited potencies, the living entities, are called Vibhinangsha. Ekai Swarupa Danhe Vinaramatrakaya Adhyakaya Vyuha Krishna Lilara Sahaya. These two are one and the same identity. They differ only in form. Lord Balaram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Balaram is a Swangsa expansion of the Lord, and therefore there is no difference in potency between Krishna and Balaram. The only difference is in their bodily structure. At the first expansion of God, as the first expansion of Godhead, Balaram is the chief deity among the first quadruple forms, and he is the foremost assistant of Sri Krishna in his transcendental activities. Say Krishna Navadvipe Sri Chaitanya Chandra, say Balarama Sanghe Sri Nityananda. That original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram appeared with him as Lord Nityananda. So, Balaram is a really special personality, and we know from Krishna book that when Krishna was young, and with the cowherd boys, they would often go out into the forest. And we know that Kamsa, of course, was afraid of that there was somebody who was coming, an incarnation was coming to kill him. And so he was trying to kill Krishna and all his associates, because he had heard that Krishna had taken birth in Vrindavan, and that he was a danger to him. So he was sending all his associates, like Trinavarta and Pralambasura and Dhanakasura and Aristasura and all the different asuras. And so many times the cowherd boys would just be playing happily, and then all of a sudden a demon would suddenly land in their midst. But there was one time where they were playing, and this one demon had the ability to change his bodily form. I mean, many of the demons actually had that, but he was particularly good at it. And he figured that, well, my previous cohorts have been killed by Krishna, so I'm going to play a bit of a trick. And so he saw that the cowherd boys were going to play this game where they were going to separate into two groups, and then they would each have duels with each other. And I think Krishna was fighting Sridham, and this one demon, his name was Pralambasura. He figured out that, well, if I disguise myself as one of the cowherd boys, I'll get involved in this game, and I'll be able to fight these, Krishna or Balaram, and so I'll be able to take care of them. If I take care of Balaram, Bala is strength, right? So if I take care of Balaram, then the strength is gone, and then I'll be able to kill Krishna. That's the way the demons think. So anyway, Pralambasura engaged in this battle, this dueling battle with Balaram, and Balaram beat him. And Pralambasura actually kind of let that happen at that point, because the punishment was when you lose, you have to carry the winner, the victor, on your shoulders, and you have to run around with him. And so Balaram said, okay, I beat you, I get to climb on your back. So he climbed on Pralambasura's back, and Pralambasura started running around, and then whoosh, he went off in one direction. And of course it's described in the Krishna book that because Balaram is actually very heavy, he's the original guru. Guru means heavy, so he is very heavy, and like a mountain, it's described in the Krishna book. So Pralambasura was starting to feel this weight, and he was sweating and everything, and he was trying to get away with Balaram, and then he realized, so he started changing back into Pralambasura. He actually started to grow very big, very large, and then Balaram was like, oh, this is not a coward boy. This is a demon. And so it's described that Balaram, with his strength, he was able to just right in the back of Pralambasura's head, and Pralambasura just came crashing down. And Balaram just walked away, triumphant. So Balaram was very protective of Krishna all the time, because he was like his older brother, and he was always helping him in his pastimes. And then I was reading a little bit recently too about Balaram's visit to Vrindavan, and how after Krishna they had been living away from Vrindavan for quite some time. Krishna was with his queens in Dwarka, and Balaram went to visit Vrindavan, and he was greeted just as though he were Krishna almost. And everybody was so happy to see him, because he is Krishna, but he's just white instead of black, as we just read. And so it's described that the cowherd boys were jumping up and down and carrying him around and happy as anything, and Mother Nanda and Jasoda were so happy that and they saw Krishna and they saw Balaram, and they even though he was sort of what you'd call fully grown. I mean, Krishna and Balaram are always sort of like 15, 16 years old. I mean, that's sort of the ideal youth form. And but they actually picked up Balaram, placed him on their laps, and were crying tears of happiness and soaking him. And they were describing to Balaram that since you've left, we've had so many difficulties, and you've come back, and they were just, you know, crying like that to Balaram. And so after he stayed there for a little while, he pacified Mother Jasoda and Nanda Maharaj. He then started to greet all his friends, and all the cowherd men rather, and the cowherd men, the ones that were sort of equal in age. I mean, Balaram doesn't grow old, but just for the sake of social etiquette, Balaram is a certain age that he portrays, and he greeted all the cowherd men according to how socially he should do it. So the ones that were equal age, he treated them as equals. He would shake their hand, hug them, and ask them how they were doing. And then the older ones, he would offer them respects and ask them if he could do anything for them, if there was any service he could provide. And then the lower ones, he would give them benedictions. And in that way, he showed the proper etiquette of dealing with your peers, your elders, and the youth, like that. And then Balaram met with the gopis, and the gopis were very, of course, since Krishna left Vrindavan, the gopis had been experiencing great separation from Krishna, and having a difficult time surviving without him. And so some of the gopis started saying things like, you know, Krishna, you're so sweet talking that you talked your way out of Vrindavan, and now you're with those city women in Dwarka. But are they smart enough to, you know, not listen to your lies, like the lies you told us that you would come back, and like that? So they were sort of chastising Krishna as they were speaking to Balaram. And then one of them said, "Oh, you know, why do we even care about Krishna? You know, it's like we can't, you know, we do all these things, we're talking about him all the time and everything. Why don't he's not caring about us, he's just living in Dwarka, he's happy with his queens. Why is it that we are suffering? We should just not do that." And then she said, "But we can't." We just suffer without Krishna. And so Balaram stayed in Vrindavan for 2 whole months, and you know, just pacified the gopis and made them feel much better. And of course, he had to leave again at some point. And then we know that Balaram is very special in that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only different in color from Krishna. And yet, Duryodhana he saw Krishna as an enemy, right? He did not like Krishna. He thought Krishna was useless to him. And yet he thought Balaram was his very dear friend. But they're essentially the same person. It just shows you how Krishna just engages everybody in his service, including Duryodhana. Everybody who appeared, all the Kauravas and everybody who was on the Battle of Kurukshetra, they were all part of the pastimes of Krishna that travel from universe to universe. And Arjuna travels with Krishna eternally in the material world, from universe to universe to universe, putting on the what's been termed as the transcendental roadshow, just going from universe to universe. And Prabhupada describes that it's just like, it's like right now, it's almost 8 o'clock, right? In Winnipeg, it's only 7 o'clock. In Montreal, in Halifax, it's 9 o'clock. So in that way, there's different time zones, but it's just, everything is still going on even though the time may be different. So just like in different universes, the road shows are actually going on. There are actually multiple road shows going on, and they're all at different stages of their presentation. So just imagine, you're serving Krishna, and you're serving him in multiple universes, in multiple bodies, and engaging in multiple pastimes with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Duryodhana is in that relationship of chivalry. If we read in the Nectar of Devotion, it talks about there are the 5 basic relationships with Krishna. There's Shantaras, Dasyaras, Vatsalyaras, no, Madhurya is number 5. That's the 4th one. Yeah, Sakyaras. That's right, Sakyaras and Madhurya Ras. So, those 5 basic ones are there, but it also talks about, there's I think 7 others, it makes up 12, and one of those is chivalry. And Bhishma Dev was an example of somebody who was in a chivalrous relationship with Krishna. And I mean, they always called Bhishma grandfather Bhishma, but it was a very chivalrous relationship. He was teaching them how to become good warriors and how to govern and things like that. So that's all part of chivalry. And that was chivalry in the sense of being an ally. But Duryodhana, he's chivalrous. He has a chivalrous relationship with Krishna, but it's chivalry in the aspect of being an enemy. And so he's sort of the constant enemy, but he is a servant of Krishna, and he still gets to associate in a very friendly way with Balaram. And he has this whole friendly Sakya relationship with Balaram. And so it's Krishna's way of kind of keeping everybody attached to him. and through his expansion as Lord Balaram. And so Balaram is just such a special personality. He's the original guru. We often talk about original, and never was there a time, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So obviously, all of Krishna's expansions are simultaneously existing, always, and they are eternal, no beginning and no end. And for them, there's no passage of time the way there is for us conditioned souls. Time is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. And we are under the influence of eternal time, and the influence of eternal time is that I am the destroyer of all worlds. So everything decays because of the influence of time. But in the spiritual world, that's not there, and it's not there for anybody, for any of the incarnations of Krishna, or pure devotees of Krishna, incarnation, Shaktivesh avatars who come and distribute Krishna consciousness to the people in general. So, Srila Prabhupada often talked about Jesus Christ being a Shaktivesh avatar of Krishna. That he came and he had special potency to preach devotion. He was preaching the path of bhakti It's just unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, it doesn't take long for everything to get very mixed up. And I think that in order to pay our respects and to do honor to Balaram, the original guru, we have to try to understand the original founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada. And we must read his books daily. We should listen to his lectures. You know, on the internet now, you can hear so many different people talking about Krishna and so many different devotees. I mean, it's not bad to listen to your own guru and things like that, but also you should not forget that Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and that everything that your guru says is based on what Prabhupada said. So we have to listen to Srila Prabhupada and get that pure understanding so that we can then honor Srila Prabhupada by guarding his legacy, making sure that we are following his instructions properly, that we're not jumping over a lot of things. You know, there are people on the internet these days who talk about gopis and even some devotees who are, you know, involved in ISKCON to some extent. They're speaking about these very high relationships that go on in the spiritual world. But really, the Srimad Bhagavatam is 12 cantos. Krishna's appearance and activities take place in the 10th canto. And the whole first 9 cantos are actually to bring one to the point of purity, of pure realization of one's spiritual self, so that one can understand the pure spiritual nature of the activities that take place in the 10th canto, and specifically the activities of the gopis. That we cannot understand the activities of the gopis and Krishna with our mundane minds, because it immediately becomes tainted with our perception of basically sex, and that has nothing to do with what is going on in the spiritual world. Absolutely nothing. And if you think it does, then you are wrong. You're bogus. and so anybody who portrays any of these intimate pastimes to people like me, who are not self-realized souls, are not doing anybody a service. Oh, we may be thinking, oh, I like hearing all about Krishna and Radharani and the gopis and everything. No, because it'll just end up poisoning our consciousness. We have to hear from Srila Prabhupada over and over and over again. Like some people say, well, Prabhupada just said the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, because we didn't get it. We still don't get it. Many of the gurus that I know have told me, I still don't get it. I'm initiating people, but I'm doing it on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. He is the one who got it. It was there. He was always there. He's the Senapati Bhakta sent by Lord Chaitanya to spread. This was predicted by Lord Chaitanya in Lochandas Thakur's book Chaitanya Mangala, that he would send. Lord Chaitanya says, I will send my Senapati Bhakta, my general at arms Bhakta, who will come and spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. So we need to hear from Srila Prabhupada, because he is not just another guru. He's not just, even amongst, there's a really nice book written by a Prabhupada disciple called, her name was Mula Prakriti Devidasi. She was sent by the BBT to interview a lot of Prabhupada's God brothers and disciples and people who had encountered Srila Prabhupada before he came to the West, and his interactions with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and that. And there's a nice, if you can't find her book, her memory tape is on the Siddhanta Prabhu Das has a nice memories of Srila Prabhupada site where you can see devotees giving their memories. But if you look up Mula Prakriti on his site, she gives all the understandings of how Srila Bhakti Siddhanta understood that Srila Prabhupada was very special amongst all his disciples, very special, like even amongst all the sannyasis. One time he was sitting with all the sannyasis and he was asking them, so I want this message of Lord Chaitanya to go to the West. And he asked every one of his sannyas disciples who were there, I think there was about a half a dozen or so, and he asked each one of them, can you take the message to the West? Oh no, I have to stay in Vrindavan. Every one of them gave some excuse, and it was a legitimate excuse. I mean, they had preaching centers and things were going on, and they felt they needed to manage those things. Srila Prabhupada was married at the time, but he was there sitting. But the sannyasis were sitting directly in front of Bhakti Siddhanta, and Srila Prabhupada was just sitting off to the side. And after he had gone through all the sannyasis asking them if they would take, he said, don't worry. And he looked right at Srila Prabhupada and he said, we know who will take the message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. And he looked right at Srila Prabhupada. So, it's a very, Srila Prabhupada was very special. We need to really understand his message. Really take it to heart. Don't just come on Sunday and go home and do your, you can go home and do some of your regular things, but really try to live the message of Srila Prabhupada. In other words, you can take home some books. When an Amazon guy delivers something to your door, give him a book. If you're talking to somebody at the store and they're wondering why you're wearing a sari or tilak, you can give them a book. Where, I wear this t-shirt, it has the Maha Mantra on the back. Sometimes people stand behind me in the line at the store, at the grocery store, and they start chanting Hare Krishna. And I turn around and say, oh, you know the Hare Krishna? He said, no, I've never seen it before, so I just started, And then I say, oh, well, I've got a book, either out in the car or with me, and I try to give them a book. So we need to try to live Srila Prabhupada's message, not just, sort of hear it and then let it go. We have to take it in and make it ours. And then that way, the legacy of Srila Prabhupada will live on, ISKCON will live on, there will be more devotees, there will be more happy devotees, the world will change in huge ways. We can see the world in a lot of trouble right now, economically, politically, so many different things are going on, health-wise, ecology-wise. The world is just falling apart. But if the devotees really start living the message, so many young people are thinking, what can I do with the environment? It's just getting so bad, the fires are going, everything. What can you do? It sounds incredibly simple and stupid, but you just chant Hare Krishna. Honestly, that is the best thing that you can do, because it will help influence the entire planet. Everybody on the planet gets influenced when even one person is chanting Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was one person, and he influenced so many thousands. Now there's millions. They figure there's probably 20 or 30 million people who are now sort of following Krishna consciousness. So, it really, it'll pay off, honestly, if people become, because why is the economy bad? Because there are greedy people who want to suck all the oil out of the earth and everything. All that mentality would change. This mentality would change in so many different ways, that the world would become a better place in all the ways that it's going wrong right now. So really try to take the message of Srila Prabhupada as our guru, take the message that's come originally from Lord Balaram, and he appeared on this day more than 5,000 years ago, so that we could live his message. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu. It's always such a blessing for us to have you here, Mother Purnamasi, sharing us with your blessings, with your presence. And you're definitely an example of somebody who lives this philosophy, lives the instructions given by Guru, by your Guru, Srila Prabhupada. I've even heard that, Prabhu used to work regularly at the hospital, and he's notorious or famous for when he's in the hospital, always wearing some version of a Hare Krishna t-shirt. Right? So somebody always gets a chance to see Krishna, right, and hear about Krishna, and carrying books, always thinking how, what opportunity can we have today to be able to share some of this treasure that has been given to him, that he has received, some of the fortune. So we thank you so very much, both of you, for coming and being with us, and we hope that you come back and join us soon again. I know maybe not next week, because Janmashtami is coming soon, and these devotees are traveling from afar, close to Toronto, Lindsay, to be here. But I hear that they plan to join us for Ratha Yatra, which is the week after that also again. So, so we look forward to that.
Thank you to everybody who's helping to organize, and thank you to everybody who's going to come and take part in the chanting. Just in whatever way you can, just become involved and come with us and glorify Krishna, and we'll all go back home together.
Now, it's getting a little bit late right now. It's a weeknight, and I know devotees are working, but it's, I think, not the same if we don't finish with a little bit of a kirtan. Should we just do a few minutes? Maybe like 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something. No, I know, it's tough. Prabhus, Gaurita has to get up at 4:30 in the morning. They have to get enough sleep to be able to get up. Otherwise, we're going to come here, the curtains are going to be closed, and they may be sleeping still, so... But another opportunity to throw some plugs. There are many events that are happening throughout the week, so devotees are welcome to come and invited to come and share in the activities with us. Every morning there's a program here at the temple starting at 4:30. There's Mangal Aarti, there's Tulsi Puja, Rishingadev prayers, we have Japa, there's a class, Bhagavatam class every morning from 6 to 7 o'clock. Very accessible for those of you who work. You could catch it before you head out for the day. And it's accessible through Zoom as well. And we have breakfast that's served at the temple. And many other programs. Gita Wisdom on Thursday night, Bhagavad Gita class on Monday nights, Kirtan on Fridays, either at the park or at the temple, and some upcoming university events. Wednesday night also, I think, Harinam outdoors if you want to join for Kirtan. It's on Spark Street, I believe. Those Sparks in Elgin, somewhere around there. We're still honing in a spot, trying to figure it out. So, thank you all very much. Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Shri BALARAMA Jayanti ki.
Lead us for 5 minutes out? Okay.
When we chant Hare Krishna, the Hare Ramas, Srila Prabhupada at one time said this is Lord Balaram or Lord Ramachandra, but today it's especially Lord Balaram. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna for your enthusiasm. Jayam Vishnupad Brahmansa Parvrajacharya Astotar Sati Srimad Abhay Charnar Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Brahmansa Parvrajacharya Astotar Sati Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Jvidandi Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kandagiri Govardhan Ki Vrindavanam Ki Nagari Mayapur Dham Ki Gangamai Ki Yamunmai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Shri Nityananda Balaram Ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Just a couple of announcements before we serve prasadam. Just 2 minutes of your attention. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, since next big celebration is Sri Krishna Janmashtami, next week, September 6th, everyone is invited. We will start at 6:30 p.m. But temple will be open from 4 p.m. for darshan. But before that, we would like to prepare a temple for this big celebration. So we will be getting together on Monday, which is Labor Day, to clean up and prepare a temple. Big service for everyone. We have service for everyone. So if you are free, please come and help us cleaning temple, preparing for Krishna Janmashtami. It will be September 4th, starting from 10 a.m. We will be here at least half a day cleaning. So lots of service for everyone. Please help us to prepare the temple. And then after Krishna Janmashtami, we are planning another big festival, Rath Yatra, September 16. We have a lot of flyers here, and we ask everyone to take at least 10, 15, 20, 50. We have hundreds of them, and distribute at your job, communities, give to your friends. We need your help. We have a bunch of here. Please come and take some. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thousands of friends can all get
Tray is downstairs. Tray यहाँ पे नहीं। मैं ले आती हूँ। बड़ा चाहिए। आज तो बहुत है। मैं ले आती हूँ। चीज़ थोड़ी
Shri Shri Gaura ki
we get last. We'll be still a few.